June 1983, Kennedy Space Center, where Earth and sky collide. The Space Shuttle Challenger, a white giant, hums under the moonlight, ready to conquer the infinite. At its heart sits a 32-year-old woman with eyes like galaxies, Sally Ride. She's not just an astronaut, she's a torchbearer challenging centuries of silence. Tonight, she flies for every girl who's looked at the stars and whispered, "Why not me?" This is Sally's story, a woman who tamed the cosmos with her courage and taught women everywhere, the sky is yours. Sally Ride was born on May 26, 1951 in Los Angeles, where the scent of California oranges drifted through the streets. Her dad, Dale, was a political science professor, and her mom, Joyce, was a counselor with a heart for teaching. Sally wasn't your average kid. By age 5, she was glued to a homemade telescope in the backyard, gazing at the heavens. While other kids played with dolls, Sally devoured Isaac Asimov's sci-fi novels, dreaming of Mars and distant galaxies. She loved sports too. Tennis was her dance, and she ranked among America's top young players. But a voice inside her whispered, "Bigger, Sally. Reach for something bigger." At Stanford, she studied physics and earned a PhD in astrophysics. Her mind was a star, sharp, curious, and restless, orbiting its own path. Yet, in the 1970s, space was a man's world. NASA didn't even let women apply until 1978. But Sally, like a heroine from a Jane Austen novel, had a rebellious heart that wouldn't bow to limits. In 1977, Sally was in her tiny Palo Alto apartment, buried in research papers about cosmic rays. One day, she spotted an ad in Stanford's student newspaper. NASA's looking for astronauts, and for the first time, women can apply. Her heart raced. It was like the sky itself had called her name. Out of 8,000 applicants, only 35 were chosen, and Sally was one of them, one of 6 women who'd rewrite history. NASA training was like stepping into another universe. Sally learned to fly T-38 jets, sweated through hours in shuttle simulators, and practiced weightless walking in NASA's massive pools, weighed down by a 200-pound spacesuit. Some male astronauts smirked, "A woman? In space?" But Sally, like a character from Virginia Woolf, answered with silence and skill. When she mastered the shuttle's robotic arm better than anyone, the smirks faded. Sally wasn't just a woman, she was a genius. June 1983, Kennedy Space Center. The 2,000-ton Challenger gleamed on the launch pad. Sally, now a mission specialist, was tasked with operating the shuttle's robotic arm to deploy satellites into orbit. But something bigger was at stake. She was making history. Millions of women, from LA to New York, were glued to their TVs. Sally wasn't just flying for herself, she was flying for them all. The night before launch, Sally sat alone in her room. She thought back to her childhood, staring at Jupiter through her telescope. Now, she'd soar beyond it. She called her mom and said, "Mom, I'm gonna see the stars up close." Joyce just laughed. "You've always been a star, Sally." At 7:33 a.m. on the 18th of June, 1983, the countdown began. Sally sat in Challenger's cockpit, in her orange spacesuit, alongside 4 other astronauts. Her heart pounded, but her eyes were steady. When the shuttle's engines roared, the Earth shook. The launch's force, 3 times Earth's gravity, pressed her into her seat. In 8.5 minutes, Challenger pierced the atmosphere and reached orbit. Sally looked out the window, the infinite black of space, and Earth, a blue marble floating in God's hands. She later wrote, "That moment taught me nothing's impossible." The STS-7 mission lasted 6 days. Sally and her team deployed 2 communication satellites and ran scientific experiments. With the shuttle's robotic arm a mechanical giant's hand, Sally moved satellites with pinpoint precision. In zero gravity, her hair floated around her head, and her smile seemed to tell the stars, "I'm here." But space wasn't just beauty, it was danger. A glitch in the shuttle's cooling system kept Sally and her team up for hours, troubleshooting. Once, a tiny piece of space debris moving at 17,000 miles an hour grazed the shuttle's window. Sally later said, "Space teaches you to make friends with fear." From above, Earth taught her another lesson. Borders, wars, conflicts, they all vanished. Sally wrote in her journal, "Earth is fragile. We have to protect it." That realization would shape her life. On the 24th of June, 1983, Challenger landed at Edwards Air Force Base in California. When Sally stepped out, cameras zoomed in. Her hair was messy, but her eyes glowed with pride. Millions of Americans, especially women and girls, cheered from streets and living rooms. The New York Times wrote, "Sally Ride shattered the glass ceiling of space." Fame, though, was a double-edged sword. Reporters asked bizarre questions. Did you cry in space? How'd you manage your hair? Sally, with wit borrowed from Dorothy Parker, shot back. Space isn't for crying, it's for working. But deep down, she was tired of the bias. "I'm an astronaut," she once said, "not a female astronaut." NASA picked her again. In 1984, on mission STS-41G, she flew on Challenger once more, this time with Catherine Sullivan, the first woman to walk in space. Two women on one mission. Loud message to the world. Women are here to stay. January 1986. Sally was in her Houston room when the news hit. Challenger had exploded. 73 seconds after launch, the shuttle and its 7 crew members were torn apart in the sky. Sally, who knew Challenger like her own home, was shattered. Her friends, her colleagues, gone. NASA called her to the investigation committee. Like Sherlock Holmes from Conan Doyle's stories, Sally dug into the truth with precision and grit. A rubber O-ring in the boosters had failed in the unusual cold. Her report helped redesign the shuttles, but her heart was scarred. She never returned to space. Instead, she chose a new way to change the world. Sally left NASA and became a physics professor. But her biggest work was founding Sally Ride Science, a company that inspired girls to chase science and space. Sally wanted every girl to know she could touch the stars. She wrote books, gave speeches, and taught thousands of kids that their dreams had no ceiling. Like a character from Toni Morrison's novels, Sally gave women a new identity through her story. Her personal life was just as brave. Sally was a gay woman and lived for years with her partner, Tam O'Shaughnessy. In a time when society wasn't ready to accept, Sally walked her path with quiet authenticity. When she died in 2012 at 61 from pancreatic cancer, Tam was the first same-sex partner to receive a Presidential Medal of Freedom for an astronaut, a tribute to Sally's love and courage. Sally Ride didn't just go to space. She opened the sky for women. During those 6 days in Earth's orbit, as she gazed at the blue planet, she thought of all the girls looking up at her. Sally, like a star that shines even after it's gone, still tells us, be brave. Ceilings are meant to be broken. This true story of Sally Ride, America's first woman in space, is based on NASA reports, the New York Times, and her own biography. We hope this story reminds us that women always find a way to shine. For YouTube, if Sally's story lit you up, hit that like button and tell us what part of her story sparkled for you. Which other brave woman's story do you want to hear? Subscribe and soar with us.